clean as possible. I do my laundry. I do my stuff, you know. Uh, but that's it. And I sit down a little bit, and I don't like to sit down for too long. You know, my body lets me know how long to sit down, you know. I don't like to sit down for not for too long. So I get up and I fix this, I fix that, and I don't have that much stuff, but you know, I dust my furniture, and you know, little things I do around here.
Okay. So you like cooking?
Yes, I love cooking, but my sister, she's the only one that does visit me, and she only does because of her job. But um, well, she isn't feeling well too lately, where you know she cannot come and visit me sometimes, but every once in a while we go get lunch, dinner. She comes and visits me, and she loves my cooking. So I cook a little bit here, then we eat, and then we watch funny shows, and then she leaves. She's got her own house, and she's got two dogs. So,
Okay.
yeah, we love dogs, but I cannot have any dogs right now. I, I, I won't be able to take care of a dog right now.
Right, 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 right.
And I'd rather to work instead. So if I'm gonna work,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way I'm gonna be able to take care of the dog. I don't like, you know, I don't like to be for the dog to be unattended, you know, to be by itself here, you know. So.
Uh-huh.
Plus, we had a dog and it died, and since then I want to have another dog. I love dogs, but you know, but no, it was so sad, you know, for the dog to die all the time. But
Okay.
yeah, but so, and my sister calls me, you know, to every day. She checks on me, I check on her, and we talk, you know.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, we keep in touch, yeah.
So she live here in Brownsville?
Yeah, she lives here.
Beautiful. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So you're not all by yourself then?
No, no.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah, well, you know, here the apartment, yeah, you know, but she hasn't spent the night here yet because she doesn't really like to leave the dogs by themselves, you know. I mean, she loves her dogs where plus they're getting old and one of her dogs is kind of ill, and so she doesn't want to leave them by themselves. And here they don't, she doesn't like to bring him here because, you know, they can have an accident too, you know.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
She doesn't want to go through that, for them to have an accident here in the apartment. So, yeah. So, because I told her, because she asked me the same thing. So what did I do with the other bedroom, the third bedroom? Well, it's perfect okay for you, so you can come and visit me, and then you spend
Right.
it. And then she was, oh, okay. But then she gets to spend the night because she doesn't want to leave the dogs over there, you know. But yeah, so. I have to set the alarm. I have the appointment at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
So set the alarm so I can take a shower and get ready to go. It's not too far, that's what I like. Everything is so close here.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I like that. I love driving, but not with my, that's why I wanna get better with my pains, my back pains.
Uh-huh.
So they gave me a list, a long list for appointment with the, with the pain management.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they go away. I wanna ask the doctor that anything, to go away completely, So, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, let me see. Oh, I didn't hear my sister. My sister called me. Let me see. And my phone is charging. I always keep it charged because I don't want the battery to go low, but it's full. I don't know if I didn't hear it.
Uh-huh.
I keep it on silent, that's why. See, sometimes this phone are so sensitive, I press the wrong button sometimes. I have to
Uh-huh.
check over and over. Yeah. Let's see.
So normally you just watch your movies and then go to bed.
Yes.
Okay. I like how you dress, you know, I like how you put yourself together.
Yes, I am. I still have a little bit of stuff in the storage here because, and so I've been bringing a little. I can do too much, so since I started with my back, that's why I aggravated my back. I have been feeling by bringing. Uh, it's not heavy, nothing is too heavy. But if I do too much, like the doctor said, I can still aggravate too much stuff like that. Like walk too much or do too much of chores or do too much driving.
Uh-huh.
So I don't drive, but sometimes just to get out of the apartment,
Mhm.
I go. Sometimes I crave for something specific to eat, and I just go and eat. I like to eat inside too, I like to eat in the car. So I enjoy better to eat inside the place. So
Yes.
I go to the Subway. I like Subway sometimes. Tuna, like when it's too hot in this weather.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times I don't feel like eating a hot meal. So
Uh-huh.
I like subs, like cold meats, but my favorite is tuna. Tuna.
Tuna. I like tuna too.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. See, someday I can make tuna fish sandwiches too. You know, but
Okay, okay.
but I have to take care of myself first. All these tests too. So
Well, I'm hoping that you get better quick, you know.
yes, thank you.
I'm hoping that everything will go good and you get, you know,
Thank
a
you.
relief and feel good.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm very active person. I like to be active, like go to the gym especially, like before. When I was on shape, I wasn't so, I feel so healthy, go to the gym.
Uh-huh.
And right now my body is screaming for me to go to the gym so that I can take all these pains.
Uh-huh.
So for me to go back to the gym, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, if one of your sons give me some job to do from home, yeah, I can still do it, right? I mean, if I go to the gym, I can still do it.
Yeah, yeah. Once you're working from home, it's gonna be easy, you know, because you can do it anytime you want to do it, you know.
Okay. Okay. Well,
It's easy, you know, because you can make your own schedule.
uh-huh.
You
Okay.
can work on your own time.
Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, I never worked through home where, but I still, when it comes to my job, I'm very, very responsible, and I like to do it and finish it. So I will do that first, of course, and take care of my work, and then we'll go to the gym. You know what I mean?
Yes, 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 yes.
I like to do that. I would like to do that, yeah. And,
Well, I'll talk to him tomorrow.
okay,
I'll
yeah,
talk to him tomorrow and I'll let you know what he's saying.
okay. All right. And,
And now you can always talk to me, right?
yeah,
Anything at all, you can talk to me. You can tell me, right? Because I
yeah.
want to help.
Okay. Well, the same thing to me, I like to help too. If anything, if if you need anything too, let me know, and if I can do it, I'll let you know. And if I cannot, because of this pain, while I'm in pain, it's like I feel so miserable and
Uh-huh.
the pain. I mean, it's just so painful where makes me feel sad, and because I cannot do nothing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because I always like to do something. I like to be active all the time, do something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The apartment here, a little bit here, a little bit there. I wash my blankets, I wash my clothes, I clean uh, the two bathrooms. Even though the other one does, it's like nobody has used it yet. This spare bathroom, you know. But I still clean it because the dust and lint and all that. I don't like that. So yeah. But
Mhm.
sometimes the other bathroom is closer to the entrance door. Sometimes when I'm running my errands and I don't want to use the public bathrooms and I'm around here, I stop and and come to the spare uh, bathroom because it's closer to the door. You know, to
Mhm.
use them there. Yeah. So, yeah.
So you said your sister only have the two dogs.
Uh-huh.
And
My
your brother, where is he?
Oh, my brother, he lives in San Antonio.
Oh,
He's got a job over there. He works
okay.
over there. I have my older brothers in Mexico, in Matamoros.
Okay.
He doesn't. He had a chance to become a citizen. How do you call it? Uh, like me and my other brothers. Uh, but he didn't want to. He doesn't like to live here in the United States. He likes Mexico more. So he stayed over there with his wife and his kids.
Okay. So he's married and live in Mexico.
Uh-huh. In Matamoros.
In
Uh-huh.
Matamoros? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, real close. But I don't go across because what's going on. I don't know if you heard of the cartels and stuff.
Uh-huh.
You know what it means?
Yes, yes, yes,
Cartels.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
my son has business over there, you know.
He goes over there?
Yes, he has business.
Yeah, but every day or
Sometime every day, sometime.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so scared. You know what? Last time we went, when they started, that was in 2011. Last time I went to visit my family. Because I have more cousins or nephews and a large family over there still. And and I saw all those big trucks with the soldiers on top of the trucks with the big rifles. I just was scared. I didn't enjoy my vacation that time. But at that time I was working, you know. And I didn't enjoy it. I was so scared, and we didn't stay for that long over there. Uh, but we came back, and since then I haven't gone to the rest of my family because I'm just there to go over there. Yeah. Oh wow. So just one of your sons go over there, testing business over there?
Yes, he has several business over there.
Yeah, but it's just one son? Just one?
Yeah, the other one is in Houston, and the
Oh,
other one now is gone to Miami. He should be in Miami now
oh, okay.
because we are starting up a business, and he's gonna run that office in Miami.
Oh, I see.
So we're gonna have office in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, and here in Brownsville.
Oh, okay.
We have an office on Elizabeth Street.
Oh, okay.
So we're putting office now in Miami and Houston
No,
because we're gonna be doing a new business now.
oh, I see. Oh, wow, that's cool. So, so three boys and one girl.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Really nice.
But you don't have any girl.
Huh?
You don't have any girl.
Yes.
You have a girl?
Yeah, remember I told you that she's my daughter. She's from my first husband from Brazil.
Okay, okay, yes, yes, yes. You
Yeah.
did, you
She
did, you did, you
and
did.
she's got his own face exactly looks a lot like my first husband.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice. So where is she?
Oh, she lives in Illinois.
Illinois. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, oh yeah, I just get one girl from him.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. At least he left you with something.
Oh yes, I was thinking about that. I was gonna say that yes, because she's got this calm face
That's nice.
and that like an exactly like him. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, so you wait. So you're going to be you guys all of you are going to your daughter's wedding, huh?
Everybody is gonna be there. All the people that we know is gonna be there.
So
It's
you,
gonna be a big wedding.
I bet. So you're gonna fly?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna drive from here to the airport in Brazil and Harlingen.
I fly from either Brownsville or Engine or McAllen. I'll fly.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's nice. Okay, well, what time is that? You paying attention to the time?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to pay attention to the time.
Because I mean, first of all, I even growing up, but I remember I love to sleep.
Okay.
I love to sleep. So, I mean, if I go to bed late, I may not be able to hear my alarm. That happens. And then if I take my medicine, well, right now, I'm sitting down for a long time, I'm talking to you. And I can't hear no pain.
That's good.
So it's good, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But maybe because I'm enjoying the conversation with
Good.
the
Good.
nice things,
Yeah, that's
right?
good. That's nice. That's
I
nice.
think that helps, huh?
Yes, it does. It does.
It
Because
sounds like it
it
helps.
yes, it's helping me. It's helping me because I don't have nobody to talk to in the night, you know. So it's
Yeah,
certainly helping me.
yeah, me too.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
lady and gentleman get married, and they live almost across from me, and we've been meeting, like when you step out, sometimes there's some people coming out from other parts and stuff, so, and the lady, her husband, I mean, really different, her and her husband, but I think that, I mean, the lady, the wife, he asked me if I can go to walk with her.
Uh-huh.
And I said, yeah, but, the same thing, I've been busy bringing some clothes in my apartment from the stores and shoes, and then I got really busy since the beginning with purchasing the furniture, going to the furniture place, and um, scheduling the delivery, and on and I went through a lot, and I got super busy in the beginning. And so I told her, yes, I'll let you know when I'm not busy, So, and we haven't had the chance to go for a walk, but yeah, I met several ladies here, yeah. So,
Okay, that's nice.
yeah, but we haven't, yes, I like that, but we just haven't the chance, well, me, I haven't had the chance to actually go for a walk with none of them because it's so busy, But I really enjoy walking too. Uh, but not by myself. I don't feel comfortable going by myself, so I go with him. I mean, I get it done with him, but I would like to go someday. But one of the ladies that when we met and you were there, we were talking to those two ladies.
Uh-huh.
One of them lives right here, real close to me, on the other
Okay.
side, on the first floor. But,
Okay.
so, but, and then she tells me, if you need anything, just knock on my door, this and that.
That's nice. That's nice.
So, uh, thank God, but yeah, once my pains go away, hopefully soon, then I'll go and look for her so we can go for a walk, stuff,
Good,
once,
good,
once
good.
again.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and, and if you like to join us too, we'll get together and go.
Okay, okay. Well, you let me know because I'm ready.
Yeah, yeah, I'll let you know, yes.
Yes, you let me know.
Okay, yes, I will. Yes, yeah, so, but yeah, so you have good, real good kids, like you said.
Yes, yes, they are beautiful kids. They are wonderful kids and they are bright and they are doing good.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
are all doing good.
Okay, that's great. I'm happy for you.
And I'm going to be praying for you that you get better quick.
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I really need that too,
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I'm going to be praying for you that you get better and that back pain will go away.
yes. Thank you so much. Oh,
Yes, as I say, it seems like you're a nice lady. I like how you dress and the things that you wear. I like it.
yeah, yes. I'm glad. I'd like to, I was trying to call you, but then I said, no, I was thinking to myself, yeah, I should call you, have a little conversation.
Well, it was very nice of you calling me because I welcome it. I was looking forward to this.
Thank you so much.
So I feel very good you did.
Okay, thank you so much. I do so. And I'll call you next time, okay? When it's today. Hopefully, I'll try to call you every day, but it has to be like around, you know, uh, around the same time I call you more or less because then that's when I don't step out because start getting dark. I don't like to walk at night.
Okay, okay. Well, I'll listen out for you then. I'll talk to my son tomorrow, and then you can call me whenever you ready, right?
Okay, yes, I will. And
Okay, Yolanda, I appreciate it, and you enjoy the rest of the evening, right?
okay, yes, I'm gonna brush my teeth, wash my face, go lay down now. And watch
Okay.
see there's something funny, or if not, doesn't matter, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll go to sleep.
Okay, Yolanda.
Okay.
I listen out for you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you,
Oh,
ma'am. Thank you very much. And I did
okay.
enjoy this little talk. I did enjoy it.
I really did too.
Okay.
Okay. So have a good night, okay?
Yes, and you too, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye bye.
Hi. I'm gonna have to give you this episode tomorrow. I've been trying episode, and I'm gonna let you get it tomorrow. I'm gonna give it to you from the start to the finish, Angie. The episode. You know what an episode is? Some gossip. Yeah, some gossip wrapped in some pretty paper. Yes, Angie. But I wanted to call you earlier, but I was involved in the gossip, Angie. I was involved in the gossip. I had was to tear myself from it, Angie, because I know I promised to call you. Tomorrow, Angie. Tomorrow I have to tell you to your face, Angie. It's not really good as such, but it's, humorous. It's humorous. Put it that way, right? Okay, Angie. How have you been doing? Uh-huh. Wow. Okay, okay. Okay, Angie. So you're tired? Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. And you already eaten? Okay. Okay, okay. I just took it out a while ago from the oven and I cut off a little piece. And I had a little piece. But I'm going to put it now into the fridge. I'm going to put it down at the bottom. Yes, I'm going to put it in the bottom of the fridge. Yes, it was good. As I say, the quality of the chicken is good. It was soft and nice, you know. Okay, Angie, okay. I know those hands gonna do great work, Angie. I know that those hands gonna do great work. Yes, your little hands are gonna be doing great work, Angie. Angie, behave yourself, Angie. Behave yourself. Nice hearing your voice, Angie. Nice hearing your voice. Let me see. No. Oh, the other one that I called today, the one in Miami, the doctor, she called, but I couldn't take the call, Angie, because I was gossiping. I was gossiping. So, but tomorrow I'm going to tell you about the gossiping. And tomorrow now I'm going to be calling my daughter. Because I'm not going to call her so late because they're 1 hour ahead of us here. And she's going to have to go to work in the morning. So tomorrow I'll call her. Yeah. Angie, get your beauty rest, sweetheart. Get your beauty rest. Get your beauty rest so you can be looking radiant again tomorrow. Yes, Angie, I like when you look so pretty. I'm telling you, Angie. I'm telling you, right? So thank you for taking my call, and I look forward to seeing you in the morning, right? Yes, I'm gonna go to bed right now, Angie. I'm gonna go to bed right now. Okay, Angie. Okay. Alrighty, Angie. Bye, Angie. Bye.
The joyful, electric, happy warrior, massive crowd-sized vibes of Vice President Kamala Harris and her newly minted running mate Tim Walz, who are at this hour blazing a path through battleground states. Fresh off last night's mega rally in Philadelphia, they are boots on the ground in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That rally will be swiftly followed by another one in Detroit later tonight. 3 rallies in 24 hours. More than 14,000 people in attendance last night in Philadelphia alone, 12,000 in Wisconsin this afternoon. Donations poured in at an average of $3 million an hour right after Tim Walz was named to the ticket. As of today, the Harris-Walz campaign has raised $36 million and counting since he joined the ticket. But it's more than just numbers. There is something organic and infectious at the grassroots level that is happening. A party seemingly united and fired up and determined to win. Just listen to this from a few minutes ago.
I want to bring greetings from our incredible President, Joe Biden. He loves Wisconsin. He loves Wisconsin. And I know we are all deeply grateful for his lifetime of service to our nation and for all he continues to do. That's right. I'm going to tell him what you said.
We hope he was watching that. The crowd spontaneously, in an unscripted moment, erupting in a chorus that grew louder and louder of "Thank you, Joe." And while Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are injecting this much-needed dose of joy into the race, the disgraced, twice impeached, 4 times indicted, found liable for sexual abuse and criminally convicted of 34 felony counts ex-president and his number 2 are offering something that is not that. While Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are lighting up battleground states, with Beyonce playing and mega crowds in attendance, Donald Trump is hunkered down at Mar-a-Lago, off the campaign trail until Friday, reverting to his old tricks, hurling incoherent slurs and pile-ups of insults. Stuff like this, quote, "Mr. Trump, in a phone call this morning to Fox and Friends, described Ms. Harris as a nasty person and her and Mr. Walz as communists." And maybe we shouldn't be surprised that Donald Trump's muscle memory is kicking in and he's reverting to his greatest hits of misogyny and divisiveness. Because in the past 24 hours, with the addition of Tim Walz to the Democratic ticket, the Earth 1, Earth 2 split screen of the choice now facing Americans is impossible to ignore. As veteran Democratic strategist, now an advisor to the Harris-Walz campaign, David Plouffe, put it this morning on Morning Joe.
Tim Walz is normal, mainstream, and happy. And J.D. Vance is weird, extreme, and angry. And I really do think, listen, policy matters a great amount. What you're going to do for the country from an issue standpoint matters a great amount. But also that visual presentation, I think, of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, as they love America. They love people. They know our better days are ahead and we can tackle these challenges. And these other two folks in Trump and Vance are the angriest ticket in American political history.
The angriest ticket in American political history. It's an incredible branding effort, and some would argue it is also the lowest energy ticket in modern history. Good luck beating this turbocharged, joyful, and refreshingly normal opponent with what you're offering. It's where we start today with Battleground States Director for the Harris-Walz campaign, Dan Cannon. Thank you so much for being here. I know a little bit from my time on campaigns that you have one of the busiest jobs, so we appreciate you taking time out to do this. I know it's usually delegated for the comp staff, so it's great to get to talk to you. Tell me the plan. It feels like right now you have not pent-up energy, you have sort of right out of the chute all this energy, you have all these people, you have more people than it seems like you have tickets for these events. How do you sustain that? How do you deploy your two very popular candidates?
It's a great question. I mean, I think the thing that I've been talking about this campaign since the beginning, Nicole, is that we're going to have 7 very close states, more states we compete in certainly, but 7 that are just true toss-ups in this election. And we've been building campaigns and an infrastructure in those states from the beginning, designed to win a close race, designed to mobilize voters, to have offices, to have a presence in community, to engage people. And that infrastructure has been built. And so when the vice president was endorsed by the president a couple weeks ago, we already had that coming weekend, 2,300 events planned in battleground states. And so when that incredible enthusiasm came over and it was huge and palpable and real, it had a place for it to go. It wasn't just a fire with newspaper, it was a fire built with some real sturdy logs to keep the flame going. And that's what we have to do, is find a place for folks to come in, to continue to engage them, to have them bring in their own friends and neighbors and other volunteers, and to create voter contact opportunities and make this a community event, something that they are part of. That was what we did in Obama in the 08 campaign, the 12 campaign, and I think we're replicating that to a great degree right now in this campaign.
I want to talk to you about Pennsylvania because I feel like something that people get wrong in the analysis, even the most generous analysis of the addition of Governor Walz to the ticket, is that you would have just stationed Josh Shapiro in his home state if he'd been tapped. He too would have been barnstorming the country. And I wonder if you could sort of articulate how someone in your job deploys your candidate and your vice president. I mean, my understanding, and I haven't done this for 20 years, but it's like you know the county you go into, how many people you need to reach, how many people you need to motivate, how many people you need to persuade, how many people you need to convert. Just talk about how targeted this effort will be, not just in Pennsylvania, but across those 7 states.
Sure. I mean, I'll look at Wisconsin right here. So we're in the Blue Wall today. You're in Eau Claire, a town of 71,000 people in a Republican congressional district. Western Wisconsin, it's more rural than urban, obviously. But 12,000 people are out there today to watch Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have that positive vision that David Plouffe mentioned. And it really is a joyful campaign that does get tough and have contrast where we need to and establish the stakes. But you can run a political campaign that does find joy and connection with people. But it is to your point, Nicole, it has to be targeted. We have to go to the states that we know are on the pathway to 270. Obviously, Michigan and Wisconsin, and of course, Pennsylvania, as you mentioned, very important, but also Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona and Nevada. And within all those states, there are different issues that matter locally, and the teams we built on the ground, more than 260 offices in all those states, more than 1,400 staff in all those states. There's the principal travel that you're seeing right now, which is obviously where a lot of the spotlight goes. But with all those events I mentioned earlier, with surrogates, with local validators, with just neighbors and volunteers doing voter contact, you have a presence everywhere you need to, and you can establish messages and community events that are focused and authentic to the kind of conversation happening in those communities.
The youth vote was, for my old party, sort of a mirage. It's a really real thing for your party. So the plan of exciting them and motivating it is probably 40%, and then turning them out to vote, making sure if they're going off to college, they're registered, and they're able to do that, probably the other 60%, and correct me if I have any of that wrong. But this seems like explosive really almost historic. I'm sure you're looking back at '08 for the right comparisons of excitement in a part of the vote that you can't manufacture. I mean, the youth vote is either there for you or it's really, really hard, and it's clearly there for Vice President Harris and for Governor Walz. Tell me the plan and tell me how much attention and focus is on turning them out as voters.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great youth program here that we run on the campaign that engages folks and has throughout the campaign. But as we head into the fall, as you mentioned, Nicole, with the college campuses coming back online, it's another great opportunity to have a shot in the arm. But the thing I'll say about young voters, and young voters are not just college kids, they're voters under 30, right, who maybe are starting a family or trying to start a family or worried about some of the key issues that are just like the issues the rest of America faces. They do care about issues. They care about climate change. They care about cost. They care about, having safe communities. They care about gun violence prevention. They care about the things that this campaign believes in and talks about all the time. And to David Pluff's point, they don't want a campaign that is denigrating America itself, denigrating the people in America, and being mean. They want a campaign they can feel a part of something. And I think we've created that with this ticket and with the momentum you're seeing. But with that youth vote and with all the other coalitions we're trying to keep together, we need all of that, because despite the enthusiasm, and it's wonderful, it's great, it's palpable, the races are still going to be very, very close. There's some political gravity in this country that we have to recognize. And so all of this, to me, is additive to our path to victory, but doesn't predict the path to victory. We have to do the hard work and continue to mobilize folks to win these tight races across all the battlegrounds.
I heard Vice President Harris describe herself as the underdog. I know that's always music to the ears of folks in your job. You have to always run as an underdog if the polls shift, even more so that people aren't complacent. What are sort of the three things that keep you up at night for the next 90 days?
Well, I think we have to keep growing and scaling as we have to give people a place to activate that enthusiasm, energy in this campaign and talk to folks. We know the Trump campaign will try some things. We know what they did in 2020 by refusing to accept the result of the election. We know that they will have an effort to make it harder for folks to vote. We have a very big and strong voter protection team that thinks all the time about those barriers that will get put up in front of people to deny them an opportunity to participate in this democracy. So we're prepared for that. But I think, truthfully, the biggest challenge is going to be to harness all of this and turn it into something that is targeted to the voters we need to win, to keep people focused, and to recognize that the election is going to be difficult and tough, and that we're having a wonderful moment now, but we know it's going to be a difficult slog throughout. That's just how elections in America are today. But I think we've got the team that is very battle-tested. We've been battle-tested all winter, spring, summer, and heading into the fall. And I think with the plan, with the enthusiasm, and with the ticket that can really resonate with America, we feel very strong about our chances.
Are you liking this contrast that is setting up really seemingly organically? I think at one of Vice President Harris's first events, it was a crowd that started chanting back at her, "We're not going back, not going back." I mean, every campaign grabs for the future, and your supporters seem to have grabbed for it with you. I mean, how much are you sort of reading your crowds and working that into the messaging?
You absolutely do that, and not just the crowds themselves, Nicole, but every night we get a qualitative and a quantitative report on the millions of voter contacts we're having at the doors, so we know what people are talking about in a real community, not just the rallies, but where they're talking about the neighborhoods. And we know they care about lowering costs, and they like the efforts that we're engaging in. The Vice President said herself in Atlanta that on day one we're tackling Big Pharma, we're tackling corporate price gouging, right? We're tackling corporate rent hikes. Those are things folks want to hear about. They also hear about Project 2025, and it concerns them. They don't want to go back to a place where Donald Trump wants to take them, and that's, I think, where that "we're not going back" chant really comes from. It's partly organic at the doors as much as it's organic in these rallies. So we do take that stuff in. I think that qualitative and anecdotal feedback and what we see in these enthusiastic moments feeds into our thinking of how we can further connect with the voters.
How big of an issue for you is the fight for reproductive rights, and specifically Governor Walz's position? I know everyone is now going to the archives and trying to figure out when they last saw the Vice President and Governor Walz together, and we had footage of the two of them at an abortion rights event in Minnesota shortly after Dobbs was overturned. How much is that issue interwoven into all of your outreach?
It's obviously a very big issue in our campaign and in America right now, and I think it's undeniable that in 2022 and in the off-year elections in 2023, and by the way, Nicole, not just in blue states, but in Kentucky and Ohio and some of those Virginia legislative races this past fall, that issue propelled Democrats to the polls. It shifted independents and Republicans to vote for Democrats in those elections. It's an incredibly important issue that resonates certainly not just with women and not just with Democrats, but with Republican women, with independent men. And I think the way that Governor Walz talks about this issue with a real personal and authentic story with his own daughter Hope and the challenges they had with IVF, he, I think, gives people another example of how this issue is broad and is not just about a narrow segment of the population, but really about both rights and freedoms, but healthcare more broadly. It resonates. It's been effective for him. I think it's obviously something the Vice President has talked about with great effect on the campaign trail all year. And the two of them together, I think, make an even more compelling messaging duo on that front.
Dan, I appreciate your time. Keep coming back and keep us smart and honest and focused on the right things, as you know, where the race is really being waged. So an open invitation to join us.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks. Joining our conversation, reporter for Notice, a new nonprofit Washington publication, Jasmine Wright, and distinguished political scholar and professor at Princeton University, our friend Eddie Glaude is here. Jasmine, this is a campaign firing on all cylinders, and I say that as someone who has worked on campaigns that have fired on all cylinders and campaigns that have faltered on all cylinders. It isn't always like that, right? An outside event could change that at any moment. A challenging news cycle, right? It's not a foregone conclusion that this will always be the state of this campaign. But this is not, I keep saying this because I've tried, right? This cannot be manufactured. You don't go to a candidate lab and find someone like Tim Walz and trot him out. I mean, this is so far a very well executed campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're seeing is an extended honeymoon far beyond maybe what people even inside the campaign expected to happen. This real lengthy, long-lasting momentum that's riding them at least somewhat close to the Democratic National Convention, where we know that they could even see an additional boost. So this is something that they are excited about. I think when I talk to folks within the campaign, they're trying to be clear-eyed about understanding exactly what you said, that it may not always feel like that. I think that we saw Dan really speak to that issue, but they're trying to capitalize as much as they can, both digitally, socially. Obviously, all the money that's raking in, I think $36 million has come in for the campaign since they announced Tim Walz as her running mate, trying to create these organic moments like all those video calls we saw with Black women, white men, Latino women, making sure that people feel really involved in the vice president's success. So that's all the things that they're leaning on. But of course, they recognize that harder times will come as they get closer to November. So they're trying to also prepare for that.
And I think, Eddie, that's apparent in their messaging. I mean, there's joy, and it's right adjacent to this dire warning. Here's Vice President Kamala Harris talking about warning about what Trump would do, how he would like to terminate the Constitution if he's reelected. Let me show that to you.
Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again have a chance to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States.
It's important, I think, to lift that moment up, because this isn't just, I mean, I love all the comparisons to, Ted Lasso and Happy Warriors, but this is a campaign with an edge and a point of view.
Oh, absolutely. They're clear about the threat to our democracy. And as the campaign continues, we see that criticism is becoming all the more pointed and really directed. I think it's necessary, but it's happening within the context of the contrast, Nicole, between infectious hope and fevered cynicism, between inspiration and aspiration, and fire and brimstone, doom, right? And so there's a sense in which you can bring that critique to bear without kind of participating in the ominous cloud that shadows our politics. One of the things that I've been loving since the campaign started is just to hear your laugh, your infectious laugh, All the stuff that you've been reporting about. Think about the stuff that you had to go through the pandemic. Think about the stuff you had to talk about from Mar-a-Lago to the civil trial to, all the things to Jan 6th, all the things we've been talking about all of these years, and finally we're actually thinking about the future of the country. So there's a pointed criticism here. That's true, and it has to happen because democracy is still under threat, but there's also this aspirational element that's actually refreshing, it seems to me.
Yeah, Nicole.
You know what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's a great point because that is why you're seeing them use the word freedom over and over again. Not because it's distinct from Biden's message of democracy, but they feel that it's optimistic. They feel that more people can connect with it and that it applies to more things, not just reproductive rights, but the people's freedoms for economic liberty, people's freedoms to be able to live their lives as they want. And so I think that notion of freedom that we've seen the Vice President talk about, that we've seen now Governor Walz talk about, is connected to wanting to take a more optimistic approach to that contrast to former President Donald Trump.
And it's something that Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer did with great sort of messaging success and electoral success in 2022, and it is this language of this ticket that is for the same ideas and ideals, but it is being injected with a little bit more levity and future. And we have so much more to do. I love the Eddie Glad that you said that I laugh. John Howland and I talked for an hour and a half last night for his podcast, and I said I don't think we've laughed this much about politics in about 8 years. We'll have more on all of that. I do have to sneak in a quick break. When we all come back, we'll have more on this new Democratic ticket, their big barnstorming tour of the battleground states, plus brand new reporting reveals the depths of J.D. Vance's ties to the fever swamps of the far right wing, including months of text messages exchanged with a Holocaust denier. And later in the broadcast, Republicans in Georgia may be quietly setting the stage for manufactured chaos after Election Day there, passing a measure giving local officials more control over certifying election results. That important and vital story and more when Deadline White House continues after a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
If you're only using facial moisturizer in the morning, did you know the best time for skin renewal is at night? Olay Retinol 24 renews millions of surface skin cells while you sleep. Wake up to smoother, younger-looking skin with Olay Retinol 24.
Ooh. Man, I love a good hotel breakfast. And so close to the stadium. I managed to get the last room for $190.
I booked the last room a week ago.
I booked yesterday. One night, $140.
What?
How?
Some sites panic you into booking their last room, but they don't have all the availability. Instead, use Trivago. Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to $50 a night.
Well, at least I got the last ticket to the game.
So did I.
Hotel Trivago.
Every day, more dog people and more vets are deciding it's time for a fresh approach to pet food. They're quitting the kibble and kicking the cans and feeding their dogs dog food that's actually, well, food. Developed with vets, made from real meat and veggies, portioned for your dog, and delivered right to your door. It's smarter, healthier pet food. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/realfood.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need help with their snoring.
Sleep Number does that.
Thank you.
During our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Shop now at Sleep Number store near you.
We're coming together for our yearly service project and running a t-shirt fundraiser through Custom Ink to help the cause. Plus, their design services team helped us get a design we love. Come together for a cause. Get started today at customink.com.
Most people call a leaf filter when their gutters are clogged and they notice one of the many issues that can bring. Well, sometimes it's the smell of mildew when water has seeped into the interior walls, or maybe they've spotted mold in the attic. But most often, it's the more obvious signs of damage, like rotten soffit, fascia, or water pooling near their foundation. You can get ahead of costly damage by protecting your home's gutters today.
Now you're probably wondering why this YouTube video is unlisted. After all, you probably watched my 3-option plays over the last couple weeks and you might have banked with us.
At customink.com.
Most people call
For less than $20, go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
Most people call leaf filter when their gutters are clogged and they notice one of the many issues that can bring. Well, sometimes it's the smell of mildew when water has seeped into the interior walls, or maybe they've spotted mold in the attic.
Plus, their design services team helped us get a design we love. Come together for a cause. Get started today at customink.com.
Most people call leaf filter when their gutters are clogged and they notice one of the...
Okay, it's Debbie Downer. I couldn't escape this. We got a lot of work to do. I feel a lot better than I did in 2016 at this time. Donald Trump, you're not going to win Michigan.
Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell was at the Harris-Walz campaign rally tonight in Detroit. The Democratic ticket now on a week-long tour through crucial blue wall states like Michigan. Debbie Dingell joins me now. Debbie Dingell, I have been the Debbie Downer in every group project I have ever been on, telling everyone that we still have a lot of work to do, so more sympathetic I could not be. Talk to me about the energy you saw in Michigan today.
Look, I haven't been to a rally like that in a very long time. People started arriving at 2 o'clock. They had to park at parking lots and be bussed in, and they stayed, and they're ready. They're there to work. There were thousands of union workers and all kinds of different people from all over Southeast Michigan. You know what? It just felt good to be in a room full of joy and energy and happiness, and a group of people that are going to win.
The hoarseness of your voice tells me that you left it all in that room and on that stage. Congressman, let's talk about Governor Walz. You served with him in Congress. He's a fellow Upper Midwest guy. I just wonder what you see him bringing to this ticket, specifically when it comes to speaking to Midwestern voters.
So I've known Tim Walz for a long time. He's a good friend, and his wife is one of my dear friends. We were and are close. We've got a group of 4 of us. But what Tim is a problem solver. He is, what you hear is, I mean, this is not going to be somebody who spouts talking points. He's somebody that works across the aisle. He tries, okay, what's the problem? Let's bring everybody to the table. Let's solve the problem. He and John hunted together, shot skeet together. He's somebody who has been an active outdoorsman, but also doesn't want to see children shot in schools. You know, I hate the labels. Now we see everybody trying to put all these labels, which are false and not true, that are on him. I don't think they're wanting to make sure that a child that goes to school is hungry. I think what you're seeing is a man who has good, rounded values that wants all working men and women to have access to those things.
If you have the enthusiasm of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Joe Manchin, then you certainly are a person who defies labels. We just heard at the top of this segment some sound of you earlier today calling yourself Debbie Downer, but the truth is, you were right, Congresswoman, you were right in 2016, so I wonder both what feels different this time, and given that you have given me the version of the glass half full, where you see it half empty, what it is you're worried about, if anything.
So look, I don't think this is a done deal. This is, you know, why I feel a lot better than I did in 2016. At this point in 2016, I knew we were in trouble in Michigan and nobody believed me. And this is a purple state and we're going to be purple until election day. I don't want to make that really clear. And a lot of people are excited. We're seeing more volunteers on the doors. But obviously, this is a state that has a very significant Jewish population and a very significant Muslim population, Arab American population. And the Arab American population is hurting, as is the Jewish community. And I think what we all want to see is peace in the Middle East, and there are people really hurting on both sides. And Donald Trump only won by 10,000 votes, with 10,500 some. That's one issue. We have to get in those union halls. I am very clear with everybody. We have union leadership. Sean Fain is so on board. He is totally committed to winning this, as are the other unions. Last week we had a launch of the building trades, but we got to get in those halls. They don't know what Democrats have done for them over the last 4 years. We've not done a good job talking about it. A lot of them don't even understand pensions that were gone were restored by this administration. So we got to make sure young people are not only energized, but they turn out and vote. So I know what we've got to do. We still got to go out and do it. And by the way, I'm a realist. We got 90 days. We'll get through the convention. We'll have sugar highs by Labor Day. We're going to have to be serious. And I think there'll be changes in moods. And we just can't let any of those changes in mood get us deflated, impact the work we got to do. We're going to roll up our sleeves and do the work.
A lot of the variables you laid out were actually on display at today's rally. I want to pull this sound from UAW President Sean Fain. He spoke after you at tonight's rally. Let's take a listen to what he said, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
You know, every time Donald Trump gets a chance, he trashes our union and he trashes the working class. He comes to Michigan. He talks about he's going to bring back the auto industry. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump doesn't know about the auto industry. And he doesn't give a damn about the working class in this country.
So, Congressman, I've only got about a minute left, but I want you to help me understand the union piece of it. As you said to me just a moment ago, some of it has to do with an information gap. Some of it has to do with bad information that has surfaced in that void. Your sense of what it is going to take to get those union members enthused and showing up in advance of this election?
We have to show them how we brought jobs back to this country, how we're addressing the supply chain, how we're protecting them from jobs that are being sent overseas and not played. We're not playing on a level playing field. They're also worried about immigration. They're worried about guns. Look, I've had some tough conversations. We got to talk the truth, and I think Tim Walz is going to be very good at talking to him about a number of issues that concern him. So I'm going to get in the house and we're going to get it done.
Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, you have had a very long day, so I appreciate extra the fact that you made some time for us tonight. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Take care. Be safe.
When we come back, trolled on Truth Social, we break down the Harris campaign's social media strategy to take on Trump. The 11th hour continues.
Want to know what investment has made the most millionaires in America? Because it's not the stock market, it's not real estate, and it's definitely not cryptocurrency. No, it's actually Apple. And I'm not talking...
Tonight on All In. A rapturous welcome.
We are joyful warriors. Joyful warriors.
As the Democratic ticket heads to the Midwest.
Are you ready to make your voices heard?
The palpable energy and enthusiasm for the Harris-Walz campaign, in stark contrast with the Republican ticket.
Well, I smile at a lot of things, including bogus questions from the media, man.
Tonight, the rallies in the key battleground states of Wisconsin and Michigan, plus the unfounded attacks on the remarkable military record of Tim Walz, and the Trump campaign struggling to not be so weird.
It's a very clear thing. Yes, they are creepy and weird as hell. You see it. You see it. This is not normal.
When All In starts right now. Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes, and today marks the first full day of the Harris-Walz presidential campaign. In fact, right now, Vice President Harris is speaking in Detroit at an enormous rally, thousands of folks coming out in the Wayne County Airport. It is clear that the enthusiasm for the Democratic presidential ticket is like nothing the party has seen in quite a few years. The candidates spent the day barnstorming through key swing states in that Detroit rally right now, as well as Wisconsin earlier today.
Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
There really is a palpable sense of momentum right now. It's showing up in the polls as well as the sort of feel in the air behind the Harris-Walz campaign. Just for comparison, here's a time-lapse video of the line to get into the vice president's Eau Claire rally hours before the event. It was taken by a local reporter. That's a ton of folks line up real early. Meanwhile, this was the scene at J.D. Vance's competing rally in Michigan this morning. Now, there are a lot of reasons for the surge of enthusiasm and the just joy on the Democratic side. One of the biggest factors in my view is that for the first time in a while, it feels like Democrats are taking the offensive, are embracing a kind of confidence that they should when it comes to political messaging. You see, there's a funny thing about the collective psychology of the two major political coalitions in this country. Republicans, I think, are genuinely convinced that they are the real Americans, that they actually speak for the majority against the fringes and the cultural elites in San Francisco and New York and yada, yada, yada. And they are convinced of that. I mean, deeply convinced of that, despite the fact that Republicans have won more votes in a presidential race one time since 1992. That was November 2004 when George W. Bush won re-election, and he did actually win more votes nationally. So that's the Republicans. Even though they're losing the country reliably, they think always everyone agrees with us. The Democrats, on the other hand, who really have won stable majorities, who are, by the way, the most successful center-left party in the Western world, that's a fact, are constantly beset the idea they somehow are in the minority. Always worried about being out of touch with people in diners somewhere, being defined by the coastal elites in Brooklyn and Hollywood. And that's been as true for basically as long as I've covered politics. There's a lot of reasons for it. One big reason, I think, goes back to that landslide election in 1972, when Republicans framed Democratic nominee George McGovern as a kind of hippie extremist. An off-the-record quote that became legendary, painting him as the 3 A's: acid, or opposition to the war on drugs; amnesty, forgiveness for Vietnam draft dodgers; and abortion. Now, none of that was really accurate, but the labeling stuck. And even decades later, McGovern, himself a relentlessly normal white dude, veteran war hero from the Midwest, regretted not pushing back harder on the attacks.
I got labeled the candidate of acid, amnesty, and abortion. I made a mistake. I told my staff, look, nobody's going to believe that nonsense. We don't have to answer stuff like that. Well, that was wrong.
Now, Democrats, I think, still feel the psychological reverberations from that McGovern loss half a century later. And there's other reasons as well. That's a kind of cornerstone. So one of the amazing inversions that we've seen the last few weeks is a return to the idea that Democrats really do represent the popular majority in this country. That an agenda of defending democracy and personal freedom is actually what most Americans want.
In this fight, as Tim Walz likes to point out, we are joyful warriors. Joyful warriors. Because we know that while fighting for a brighter future may be hard work is good work.
All the things that make me mad about those other guys and all the things they do wrong, the one thing that I will not forgive them for is they tried to steal the joy from this country. They try and steal the joy. But you know what? You know what? Our next president brings the joy. She emanates the joy.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI.
I'm going to show you a way to potentially make money by pairing Amazon with the power of AI without ever selling physical product.
That message of joy is especially effective when you contrast it with what the Republican ticket is pushing. Abortion bans, threats to democracy, this interminable culture war nonsense. In short, it's a campaign not of joy, but of anger.
You've been criticizing me. You're too serious, you're too angry sometimes. What makes you smile? What makes you happy?
Well, I smile at a lot of things, including bogus questions from the media, man. I mean, look, I think if you watch a full speech that I give, I actually am having a good time out here and I'm enjoying this. But look, sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. And right now, I am angry.
I gotta say, I think it's been very refreshing, even taboo breaking in a way, to hear Tim Walz and others say what I've been thinking, we've all been thinking, that Democrats are the party of democracy and stability, and Republicans really have become, in many ways, at least in their candidates, a party of weirdos.
I'm not a name caller, but what I am as a teacher, I observe things. So I want to tell you, what I observed and you've observed about these guys when you see them, that it's a very clear thing. Yes, they are creepy and weird as hell. You see it. You see it. This is not normal. This is not normal behavior. Nobody's asking for this crazy stuff.
You see the inversion here, right? That the idea is that it's not like the Holly weirdos, right? The Democratic Party that's so nuts. It's the Republicans who are weird, who are out of touch, who are enthralled by the strangeness of the fringes. And I think there's really something to this. I mean, partly it's a campaign message. I think it's effective in some ways. But there's something really to it, to the way these two parties have kind of formed, particularly in the Trump era. And we've got some new data points just today that show why Democrats have reason to be confident that it is their culture war-obsessed opponents who are the ones who are out of touch. So the first one involves a little notice electoral result last night, involving anti-trans legislation that was in Kansas that passed last year, but it passed over a veto from the state's Democratic governor.
Aside from passing a bill banning gender-affirming care for transgender kids, the House and Senate overrode Governor Laura Kelly's veto on a bill barring transgender athletes from playing girls' sports. So starting July 1st, school athletic teams will have to be designated either boys, girls, or co-ed.
Now, one of the votes to override that veto by the Democratic governor and force through that anti-trans bill came from a Democrat, a state representative named Marvin Robinson. Well, last night, Marvin Robinson, that guy, lost his primary because of that. Americans, I think, everywhere, even in red Kansas, and this is a Democratic primary to be sure, but they really have had enough of these right-wing culture wars and these obsessions. So that was one. We also saw last night in Missouri, and again, this didn't get a lot of attention, but I think it's worth taking a second with. You may have heard of this weird MAGA troll running to be Missouri's Secretary of State. That's her. Her campaign, as far as I can tell, mostly consisted of videos posted to social media where she would just say, like, outright a bunch of slurs, like straight up to get attention. But genuinely and truly hateful stuff. But she'd pop up from time to time. So she's running a Republican primary, and who knows, right? These days, a Republican primary. Last night, she came in 6th place in that primary. She got 7.4% of the vote. You know why? Because she's really weird. Because running around shouting slurs at people isn't actually an effective way to communicate to the vast majority of Americans across the ideological spectrum, even in a Republican primary. It is alienating to voters. The idea that the future somehow belongs to Marjorie Taylor Greene has simply not been borne out in electoral results at all. So all of that said, it really is the case the Democratic Party, with all of its well-established fractious internal divisions, that it is and has been a majority coalition, that it can be a majority coalition again in the fall. Because as David Plouffe, senior advisor now to the Harris-Walz campaign, noted this morning, the Democrats are the ones with the winning message here.
Tim Walz is normal, mainstream, and happy. And J.D. Vance is weird, extreme, and angry. And I really do think, listen, policy matters a great amount. What you're going to do for the country from an issue standpoint matters a great amount. But also that visual presentation, I think, of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, as they love America. They love people. They know our better days are ahead and we can tackle these challenges. And these other two folks in Trump and Vance are the angriest ticket in American political history.
We're still 90 days out from the election, and just to level set here, and as the vice president said yesterday, it's basically a toss-up right now. But if you had to choose which side you'd rather be on, I think you'd choose a side of joy and energy and enthusiasm rather than anger, bitterness, and division. Rebecca Traister is a writer at large for New York Magazine The Cut. Recently, she wrote about the thrill of the Democrats taking a risk by changing up their ticket, and she joins me now. What do you think about this sort of neurosis of the Democratic coalition, which has always worried it's in the minority, even as it has reliably stitched together, narrow but reliable majorities, and the Republicans who are the inverse? And I do think there's something new and interesting and exciting happening in the communication around this ticket.
Absolutely. It's so, and you and I have talked on this show, I've written about our frustrations over years, over decades, with Democrats who have permitted the language, the kind of robust and moral language of freedom and family to be ceded to these right-wing frames and sort of run from a defensive crouch. And you and I have bemoaned before on this very show how we wish that Democrats would take up that language with warmth and energy and drive. And this is what we're seeing. And the inversion that you're talking about is so fascinating. And I want to make one addition to it, which is that if you even look at the inversion between how this Democratic campaign against Donald Trump was being run a month ago, it was about what we could lose, democracy. It was all about what's on the line. And all that stuff is true, right? But suddenly last night when I was listening to that Philadelphia rally and I was watching Kamala Harris smiling, ebullient, as she was saying words about we need affordable health care, affordable housing, affordable child care, paid leave. And I was like, suddenly, this is not just about what we're going to lose. It's about what we can win. And to see her smile through that and not cede to these weird frameworks about, sort of red baiting socialism, big government. No, to just say, look, at their best, the Democrats are on the side of policies that can make your lives better, that can make families stronger and more stable. That is a tremendous message. And that kind of happiness, the promise, the vision of what is winnable, how we could make lives better is exactly the kind of thing you need, especially in this curtailed election cycle, to get people to come out. That's why people want to line up and go to these rallies. Not because they're being, threatened with doom and gloom, but because there's a promise of fun and future, and a stronger nation and stronger families that's being offered. And you need that energy. You need people to want to come to the rallies. You need people to want to knock on doors and phone bank. And I think this is brilliant and also in line with what the Democratic Party should be at its best, which is something you and I have talked about in other instances, but we've never really seen made manifest until this week.
I think there's also a connection to abortion, strongly and importantly, and partly because Kamala Harris has spent a lot of time talking about that. But I do think this question of, are we on the 60 side of the 60-40? Are they on the 60 side? Are we on the 55 side of the 55-45 issue? And again, I want to be clear. There are issues that Democrats are losing on right now. Like immigration, they are. They really are, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But there's something about our entire adult lives it being like, who knows really who's got the majority on abortion. The Dobbs decision just showing the answer to that, I think, is part of this confidence, or at least this messaging.
Exactly, and that is part of what we've talked about before, is that there actually has been a lot of evidence that Democrats were on the very strongly winning side of this long before the Dobbs decision, and it's something that I have complained about for years. Why don't we act like we're winning this issue? But But the other reality is that we've seen in these past years, I want to take back what I said about we've never seen this kind of forward motion, robust language made manifest before. In fact, we did in these elections, the interim elections since Dobbs, the midterms of last year, where you did see state and local lawmakers and politicians like Kamala Harris out there speaking with confidence and moral clarity about abortion protections as an element of freedom, as fundamentally patriotic, and you saw how it won these elections unexpectedly.
Rebecca Traister, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Coming up, as J.D. Vance chases Kamala Harris across the Midwest, you just can't escape the weirdo label. That's next.
If you're not making $158,000 per year, but you'd like to, I strongly encourage you to start a bookkeeping business. That's right. If you're willing to learn how to use a free program called QuickBooks, you can make 6 figures working part-time from home or anywhere in the world. And here's the thing, QuickBooks is easy to learn, and you don't need a degree, prior experience, or to be a math expert to run a successful bookkeeping business. Hi, I'm Bill Von Fumetti, and I've helped over 3,000 people make incredible money online with just a laptop and a free QuickBooks account. And many of them are earning over $100,000 per year. Let's face it, it's demoralizing working your tail off at a job you don't love for a boss you can't stand, all while barely paying the bills and sacrificing precious time with your family. And maybe you've looked into starting your own business, but you're fed up with all the schemes that are out there. Well, bookkeeping is legitimate and respected work. You're providing a really valuable service to small businesses, and you're getting paid really well for it. Check out this recent study from QuickBooks that shows bookkeeping business owners make an average of $76 per hour. That works out to $158,000 per year full time. Or you can work part-time and still clear 6 figures. How incredible is that? And it's easy to get clients because demand for bookkeepers is at an all-time high right now. Over 5 million new businesses start every year, and every one of them needs a bookkeeper. So if you're finally ready to start living the life you deserve, I'd like to invite you to my 5-day Keyboard Rich Challenge. Over 5 days, an hour and a half each day, you're going to learn everything you need to start a successful bookkeeping.
Well, I think what President Trump said is that Project 2025 does not represent the agenda of the Trump campaign, and it doesn't. Donald Trump represents the agenda of the Trump campaign. He speaks for himself.
Today, J.D. Vance tried once again to distance Donald Trump from Project 2025, the far-right authoritarian playbook spanning 900 pages for a new Trump administration. What makes it harder for Vance to pretend the campaign has just nothing to do with this just meteor that flew in from outer space is that J.D. Vance himself wrote the foreword to an upcoming book by the guy that put Project 2025 together, okay? Now, in a panic, because this looks so bad, publication of that book by the Project 2025 guy is being delayed until after the election. Even as that book is being delayed, another book Vance has publicly endorsed has just been published. This one is by a guy named Jack Posobiec. He is the far-right activist who promoted the conspiracy theory that Democrats ran a satanic child abuse ring under a popular pizzeria in Washington, D.C. In her latest piece in the New York Times, Michelle Goldberg writes his new book, titled, by the way, Unhumans, argues that leftists and progressives don't deserve the status of human beings, that they are, as the title says, unhumans. It also praises the brutal Spanish dictator, Francisco Franco, early fascist leader, calling him a great man of history. Genuinely gross, crazy stuff. And get this, the first blurb on the book is by none other than J.D. Vance, who writes, in the past, communists marched in the streets waving red flags. Today they march through HR college campuses and courtrooms to wage lawfare against good, honest people. Jack Posobiec and Joshua Lysick reveal their plans and show us what to do to fight back. Julian Castro is a former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President Obama. David French is a conservative never-Trumper, who's an opinion columnist in the New York Times, and they join me now. David, let me start with you. I mean, I want to start with this because I was thinking about the fact that you and I work in a world in which people will ask you to blur books. You've written books, I've written books. Now, sometimes people will blur books without reading them. I never do that precisely so that I'm never in this position. But I do feel like like, if someone asked me to blurb a book whose title was Unhuman, I'd be like, what's this one about? I feel like that's not really a thing I want to endorse.
Well, yeah, and also you have to realize that J.D. Vance is a very online guy, and he knows good and well who Jack Posobiec is.
Yes.
He knows good and well what Jack Posobiec stands for. So this is a bold choice to endorse a book by a guy who spread the Pizzagate lie that ultimately ended up in a violent incident at the pizza restaurant. So that's a choice to make. And also, let's not forget, for example, he has praised in the past Alex Jones. He made a choice 2020, 2021 and after to dive really into the hard online right. And it's coming back to bite him, as it should. And people are being exposed to really the bizarre elements of the online right, bizarre elements that J.D. Vance has participated in and promoted for some time now.
Yeah, it's a good point about the affirmative choice. You're like, you don't have to blurb this book, right? It's not like there's not like a gotcha question here. It's not like someone took a picture of you and it's not really fair. It's not like you were at a conference and then this person was there. This is some guilt by association. Like, you affirmatively chose to endorse this guy's book. You knew what you were doing. Julian, on the Project 2025 stuff, I do find this sort of moonwalking away from it pretty interesting. They're doing it in a bunch of different places. A new reporting today, Washington Post, that Trump took a private flight with Roberts, who is the sort of architect. They flew together at a Heritage Conference where Trump delivered a keynote address talking about they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do. It seems to me at this point it's maybe the better part of valor to just like suck it up and say like, yes, you did endorse it, than try to lie to everyone about what happened.
Yeah, well, two things, Chris. First of all, how many times have we seen Trump do this, right? When somebody's like a political standing goes south, when something goes wrong, oh, I didn't know that guy. Oh, who are you talking about? Yeah, I hardly knew him, right? How many times did he play that card during his administration? That's first. Then secondly, this actually is, for them, a major problem because it's clearly something that is resonating with the American people, with voters out there who do see this as weird. They see it as odd. They see it as cringe, extreme. And the more that Trump and J.D. Vance grapple with trying to get away from it, it just raises this issue of what do you guys really believe? What do you stand for? And I think most people believe that these guys would do that they believe what's in the book, that they embrace it, that they become this party of angry scolds that wants to control your life. And what we've seen over the last 30 years basically is that the Democrats have reclaimed that notion of we're the party that stands up for people's freedom. And that is fundamental. It is tectonic in American politics.
J.D. Vance, David, has been doing sort of an interesting thing right now, and I'll note that I think there was like a Georgia and North Carolina rally that got canceled because of the hurricane. A very weird situation right now where Harris and Walz are barnstorming. We're in 90 days. This is sort of, it's after Labor Day is a real sprint, but like they're barnstorming. Vance is doing multiple events a day. He's out there being a dutiful soldier. Trump's got one rally all week in Montana, which is weird, but like it is a little weird right now that you got Harris Walz, you got Vance flying around, and Trump is on Truth Social still posting about Brian Kemp.
Well, it's not that weird when you consider that now we're in a situation where Trump is actually the oldest major party nominee in American history. He's a 78-year-old man. And we don't know what kind of stamina he has out on the trail. And now a lot of the questions that attach to Joe Biden, I think attach to Donald Trump. This is a person who I don't think necessarily shows the stamina that's going to be necessary to match the pace that Harris and Walz will put up over the next 90 days. Vance can do it. Vance will try to do it. But as we've seen from the crowds, as we've seen from the lack of energy, he is not the draw. Trump is the draw. He is not. And if it is a contest of a barnstorming Kamala Harris and a barnstorming J.D. Vance, Harris wins that exchange because she's the draw. It remains to be seen how much energy Trump is going to have over the rest of this campaign.
And one thing I would just add, and I mean this in a profoundly human level, example is that he's a 70-year-old man who a month ago suffered like a genuine terrifying trauma, which is that he came here an inch of being killed at an event. Like, the news cycle's moved on quickly from that. But like, that is not, that is a terrifying thing to have lived through. It is likely to have some psychological reverberations. Like, I think you just, like, even, you know, that was very, very recent, just for everyone to keep in mind. Julian Castro, David French, thank you both. Really appreciate it.
It's a shame. There's a bunch of kids making thousands of dollars a day passively trading options.
Every year, about 2 million Americans serve in the armed forces, either full-time or 1 week in a month. They come from all walks of life, all serve in different ways. Many serve as Senator J.D. Vance did after high school. He signed up for a 4-year enlistment in the Marines, including 6 months in Iraq doing public affairs. He was then honorably discharged. We should say that's a bit of a rarity among politicians. Most politicians serve as officers after college. You don't enlist after high school, because serving as an officer after college means better pay, better benefits, and there's a little bit of a division between officers and the enlisted armed forces. But there's an experience that is even rarer among the tiny fraction of Americans who enlist. A much smaller share make a career of it, serving 20 years or more with multiple deployments. Only a tiny fraction of those fought to stay in the service after being disabled on the job. And one of them is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, an enlisted soldier in the National Guard for nearly a quarter of a century. A journey that began on a Nebraska farm as soon as he was eligible to join.
My father served during Korean War, and the day after I turned 17, he took me down to an Army National Guard recruiter, and I raised my hand and signed up.
That was in 1981. Ronald Reagan was the president. Now, Walz continued to serve for the next 24 years under 4 commanders-in-chief. He spent most of that time as an artillery soldier, and it took a toll on his hearing. In fact, in 2002, after he'd already done 20 years, he qualified for retirement. A medical board considered discharging him because of his hearing impairment. Instead, he convinced them to let him complete his final enlistment, which began after 9/11. Walz achieved the highest enlisted rank in the Army, Command Sergeant Major. But rather than stay in and complete the schooling for that rank, Walz retired in 2005 at the rank of Master Sergeant. Party says because he wanted at that point to speak freely about political injustice, specifically the Iraq War. The following year, he was one of more than 60 anti-war veterans running for Congress, the Fighting Dems, a group that included Jim Webb, Patrick Murphy, and Tammy Duckworth.
I spent 24 years in the Army National Guard. I spent the better part of 2 decades as a public school teacher. I'm a small business owner, I'm a father, and I'm a husband. I intend to come here to Washington to provide authentic leadership and to truly represent the people of my district and the people of the United States.
After a surprise victory in a red district, Walz became the highest-ranking enlisted veteran ever to serve in Congress and worked to help end the military's anti-gay, don't ask, don't tell policy.
I had students that I taught in the classroom, coached on the football field, trained in my Guard unit, and they went off to Iraq to fight for this nation. They went off to Afghanistan to fight for this nation. Not once in my career did the question of sexual orientation ever come up. It's time to erase this this mistake for our security and for Americans, and I'll be with you every step of the way.
After Donald Trump was elected president, Walz became the ranking Democrat on the House Veteran Affairs Committee. He fought the Trump White House plans for privatizing veterans' health care while using his own experiences with the VA to help other veterans get their benefits. Walz's experience in the armed forces is an atypical one for most Americans, particularly for politicians at the national level. I mean, there really is literally no one like him. And now Walz is running with Kamala Harris against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And, perhaps not that surprisingly, Republicans are trying to swift vote Walz, denigrating his service the way they did with Vietnam vet John Kerry 20 years ago, saying he stole valor and left the Army to avoid going to Iraq. It's a playbook Republicans also used against Walz when he ran for governor of Minnesota, and it failed then because they're lies. It turns out when voters hear about the quarter-century Walz spent as a citizen soldier, the time he spent since then fighting for Iraq and Afghanistan veterans to get the benefits they deserve, they don't see what Republicans do. They see a rare kind of veteran in politics who can cut through the self-serving BS rather than adding to it.
This is how I get paid passive income from Apple's App Store without ever making any apps myself. It's actually thanks to a new type of...
Back in 2004, Tim Walz was a social studies teacher in Mankato, Minnesota, who had just gotten back from an overseas deployment with the National Guard. He found out then President George W. Bush was coming to town and thought it was a teachable moment. And so, according to Josh Green, writing for The Atlantic back in 2006, Walz and 2 students boarded a Bush campaign bus that took them to a quarry where the president was to speak. But after they had passed through a metal detector and their tickets and IDs were checked, they were denied admittance and ordered back onto the bus. The reason? One of the boys had a John Kerry sticker on his wallet. Indignant, Walz refused to leave. As a soldier, I told him I had a right to see my commander-in-chief, he explained. Bush campaign staffers proceeded to give Walz the 3rd degree. Did he oppose the president? Then Walz asked them if they really wanted to arrest a command sergeant major who just returned from fighting the war on terrorism. They eventually let Walz in, but not his students. And not long after that, he retired from the Army and he ran for Congress as a Democrat. Since then, Walz has been the highest-ranking enlisted veteran in Congress, the top Democrat on the House Veteran Affairs Committee, and now a candidate for vice president. Former Democratic Congressman Patrick Murphy of Pennsylvania was the first Iraq War veteran elected to the House, where he worked closely with Tim Walz. He also served as Undersecretary of the Army under Barack Obama, and he joins me now. Patrick, it's great to have you in the program. My understanding is that you and the governor came in that first class together, I think, right? And you were roommates, is that right?
That's right. We were going through orientation, Chris, in Washington before we took the oath of office, and we were both looking for the cheapest apartment we could get in Capitol Hill because his family's back in Minnesota, mine was back in Pennsylvania, and we got the cheapest place we could find. And he's just a great American. He was a great roommate.
What do you think about how his experience, which really does strike me as pretty novel, 24 years, and then moving over to the House where he was the Veteran Affairs Committee, would inform how he would...
You don't have to be an investor to make money in real estate. Don't think this is possible? Take me as an example. I've started...
Check out the crowds for Vice President Harris and her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, this afternoon in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The Harris campaign said 12,000 people came out to this Eau Claire rally today. That would be impressive on its own, but check this out. This is the size of the crowd at Harris's rally tonight in Detroit. The Harris campaign says 15,000 people are in attendance at that. Today, the Harris campaign revealed that since announcing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as a running mate, in just the past 24 hours since then, the campaign has raised a whopping $36 million. The Democratic fundraising site Act Blue said that the peak of their fundraising came in at $4 million in a single hour. That was the hour that Harris and Walz spoke together yesterday evening in Philadelphia. The excitement around the Harris-Walz ticket is palpable, and it's clear that the excitement has Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, scrambling to come up with new ways to counterattack. As far as Trump trying to attack Kamala Harris has gone this week, it hasn't gone that well, actually. Earlier this week, Donald Trump started referring to Vice President Harris as Kamabla. As the Daily Beast put it, Trump's new attack on Kamala Harris is literally gibberish. Or more directly, in the New Republic, Trump's new nickname for Kamala shows how desperate he is. Kamabla is clearly not the strongest point of offense that campaign has, but when it comes to trying to attack Harris's new running mate, Tim Walz, it does seem that both J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have found potentially potent lines of attack. The issue with those lines of attack, of course, is that they are entirely false.
What really bothers me about Tim Walz, it's not even the positions that he's taken, though certainly he has been a far left radical. You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him. What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not.
Do not pretend to be something that you're not. We're just going to put that aside as it relates to J.D. Vance for a little while, because I want to talk about this particular issue. On its face, with no context or fact-checking, that line of attack, the idea that Governor Tim Walz is lying about his military service, is potent. We saw an incredibly similar fabricated line of attack back in 2004 against the then Democratic nominee for president, John Kerry. And those completely made-up attacks led to nearly 20% of voters saying that they didn't think that Kerry deserved his war medals. I should note that the one person who orchestrated that fabricated line of attack against John Kerry was Chris LaCivita, who is now Donald Trump's chief campaign strategist. But like in Kerry's case back in 2004, this allegation of stolen valor against Walz is just wrong. Tim Walz served in the National Guard for 24 years. He responded to floods and tornadoes, and he spent months on active duty overseas doing things like training our NATO allies in Italy. Now, Walz has never claimed that he had a combat role in the military. He's never had one. But that's not the point, because there's an understanding among people who serve this country in the military that you have answered a sacred call. No matter what you are, whether you're in reserve or you're active duty, no matter whether you're a cook or a mechanic or a fighter pilot, no matter whether you serve at home or abroad, no matter whether you see combat or not, Tim Walz never saw combat. But you know who else didn't see combat? J.D. Vance. Vance was a civil affairs Marine who took photos, wrote stories, and escorted journalists around Iraq. But that doesn't matter, because neither of these two men have ever pretended that they had combat roles. They both had incredibly important non-combat roles, and they are both veterans, and we should be grateful to both of them for their service to this nation. The only reason Walz ultimately left the National Guard was to run for Congress. I mean, you go back and listen to how he presented himself, even in that very first run for office, doesn't sound like stolen valor to me.
I am a retired Command Sergeant Major in the Minnesota National Guard, and after years of firing artillery, I sustained severe inner ear damage. Because I have good health insurance provided through my employer, I was able to have surgery on my ear. As my ear healed, my hearing was gradually restored. One morning several weeks after the surgery, I awoke to a sound I couldn't identify. I asked my wife what I was hearing, and she told me, "Tim, that's your 4-year-old daughter, Hope." You see, Hope wakes up singing every morning, but I had never heard that sound until that day. I'm running for Congress because I believe we as a country have a moral obligation to ensure that every father can hear his daughter sing, that every citizen receives the best care our medical community has to offer. I'm Tim Walz, and I approve this message because I've heard how important healthcare is to everyone.
So Tim Walz went from public service in the military to public service in Congress. A few years ago, Minnesota Public Radio tracked down some of the members of the Walz unit who did deploy to Iraq. The main thing they wanted to stress to the outlet was that they both dealt with severe mental health issues upon their return, and that Walz worked to connect struggling Guard members with help. He sought to cut the red tape. Governor Walz is not stealing any valor. He served the country for more than 2 decades. Unlike, say, Donald Trump, who reportedly avoided the draft for Vietnam by claiming he had bone spurs. But like I said, that's just one of the potential potent lies that the Trump and Vance campaign are pushing about Tim Walz right now.
I made over 6 figures trading without even looking at the charts, without spending hours glued to the screen, and without relying on someone else to give me an alert, a trading signal, or having to join a Discord group. So what did I do instead? I followed a set of mechanical rules, a strategy that allowed me to minimize my losses and maximize my earnings while only trading an hour a day. In fact, you could do the same in just 8 weeks. Here's how. My name is Jordan, founder of Freedom Team Trading, and we help struggling traders become profitable in just 8 weeks without relying on alerts, without trading more than an hour a day, using our 3-phase system. Now, I'm sure you may be thinking, if I'm already trading and have tried a bunch of different strategies, what can you teach me that I don't already know? And that's fair. So let me ask you something instead. What if there was a way to still see your account grow without having to spend more than an hour each day checking your trades? In fact, what if you could have your trades profiting for you in the background while you're at your job going about your day, and still have the sheer certainty that you'll be profitable without having to micromanage your positions? Because if you think about it, most people spend 2 to 3 hours a day trading, which adds up to about 10 to 15 hours of work every single week. And that's time you could be spending with your friends, with your family, or even resting from your 9-to-5 job. And I'm sorry to say this, but there's people out there making 6 figures a month, barely spending an hour a day trading. And they're not smarter than you. They just know something that you don't. And that is our 3-phase system. See, this system allows traders to stop relying on signals, Discord groups, or alerts in order to profit. Most importantly, it allows them to put a hard stop on trading based off emotion, which enables them to reduce error and make more money. In fact, over 200 people from all walks of life in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and even their 50s are now profitable. And now, for a limited time, you can get access to the same information that they have simply by clicking the link below. Because when you do, you'll see a page like this. And what's on the other side is a free training where I'll walk you through a quick video showing you our three-phase system and how I've made over